Dandadan Season 2 came through with its best looking episode yet. Takopi's Original Sin is one of the darkest, most depressing shows I've seen in a while. The highly anticipated action anime Gachiakuta is here and it's fine. And the ongoing summer season is firing on all cylinders. Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Anime. This week. Since this season of anime is extremely promising with a lot of highlights, I decided to dedicate an entire video to it. Make sure to subscribe. If you go down there and press the subscribe button right now, I'll do absolutely nothing, but it'd be really cool if you did. Also, you can now become a member of this channel. Members get at least 2 exclusive videos per month, both of which for the month of July are already out. Custom badges and emojis, personal shoutouts and more. Just go down there and press the join button. Dandadan came through with a spectacular episode. It was the highest peak of this season visually and one of the highest peaks across the entire show. The episode was directed and storyboarded by Hironori Tanaka, and some people were skeptical. For understandable reasons, I too have critiqued Tanaka's storyboards in the past multiple times. Thankfully, Tanaka went off, which if you really think about it, makes sense. He is amazing at storyboarding non-action stuff, and even when it comes to action, he is great at creating individual shots. The one thing he tends to struggle with is creating a sense of flow between multiple shots, and since the episode didn't feature any major extended fight sequences, that flaw in his storyboarding game didn't even come into play. It was great. The episode was the highest priority yet, requiring only a single AD and under 30-second K animators, and featuring basically every major name from the core animator list, as well as several other major names, and it showed. Lots of insanely strong cuts, lots of background animation, plenty of movement, you name it. The highlight was this sequence drawn by Toshiyuki Sato, and as you can see, the fluidity and weight behind the motion was insane and the background animation was the icing on the cake. I won't dive too deep into the visuals because I'll probably end up talking about it in detail in the future, but insane episode all around. A few quick thoughts about this arc. I wasn't particularly impressed with this arc as a whole, but I wasn't disappointed either. It was fine. Let's ignore the unnecessarily creepy stuff near the start for now. I do think the Okarun Momo dynamic benefited greatly from the final leg of episode 4. It was a feel-good moment. Good episode in case you couldn't tell. Right, so Takopi's Original Sin, it's something else, isn't it? Watching it is quite the experience. Now, just so you know, I will make an entire video about the show in the near future, and in it, I'll cover every aspect of the show, both the visuals and the writing. The reason why I'm not doing so now is because I want to see where this show ultimately goes. Like, what the endpoint conclusion is, because as of right now, I'm quite confused, and I don't want to make any declarative statements about the show's intentions without seeing how it ends. Also, the show will end soon. I can wait an extra couple of weeks if it means I'll get to explore the story more holistically. Anyway, that doesn't mean I can't talk about it at all. I can and I will. Let's have a brief discussion about this show. The first episode of Takopi turned a lot of heads, rightfully so. It was genuinely an uncomfortable watch. It painted an eerily realistic picture of what it's like to be on the receiving end of severe bullying and how it cripples you mentally. The idea of the walls closing in around Kuze, ultimately leading to her you-know-what, was really well conveyed. It was supremely uncomfortable. The next 2 episodes were not as outwardly depressing, perhaps because I was slowly getting used to its f***edupness, but they stayed true to the core themes and ideas of bullying, isolation, and the gradual mental decay of our protagonist. The 4th episode, on the other hand, completely switched things up, choosing to focus on Azuma instead, a bold move considering its limited runtime, and it ended up being a fairly compelling watch. Basically, it's very well written so far. Visually, the show is fantastic. It's directed by Shinya Ino, best known for directing the first 2 seasons of Dr. Stone, and it has an incredibly stacked staff list. Naturally, the final product looks amazing. The show is excellent at conveying a sense of unease. That feeling that something's wrong or something is about to go wrong, it was present throughout the show, even when there wasn't anything explicitly tense on screen. The lingering shots, the sound design, the warped shot compositions, the drawings themselves, the style of post-processing, every single aspect of this production came together to heighten the tension as much as possible, the best example of that being episode 4, which was visually jaw-dropping. Directed and storyboarded by Toya Oshima, solo corrected by Hayate Nakamura, and featuring animation highlights drawn by the likes of Kai Ikarashi, Shu Sugita, Keiichiro Saito, and more, the episode was genuinely insane. Those warped, borderline disorientating storyboards, the disgustingly detailed drawings, the copious amounts of background animation, it was ridiculous. Of course, I'll talk about all all of this in detail in the near future, so let's leave it at that for now. I am curious and slightly nervous about where this show will go from here on out, however. Currently, they're doing that whole protagonist is so mentally broken that she has lost her emotions thing, which is fine since she's a child. Children, of course, being notoriously bad at everything really, but morality in particular. Still, I have a hard time picturing how this show will come to a justifiable conclusion in a mere 2 episodes. I guess I'll have to keep watching to find out. Gachiakuta, the next big action shonen IP the masses were looking forward to, is finally here, and it's fine, it's alright. There's nothing about this show that has blown me away, and that does not surprise me whatsoever. I wasn't particularly impressed by the manga either. The setting was cool, but that was about it, and the anime is no different. Also, something similar can be said about the visuals. They were decent. The drawing/animation is quite good, but the overall aesthetic is subpar. I know it's a literal garbage dump and it's not supposed to look good, but actually it is supposed to look good, and you're wrong. It's supposed to look ugly all the time is a bizarre hill to die on. I hope the visuals impress me moving forward. I know the story won't, I've read the manga, but I hope the visuals do. Speaking of visuals, the best looking show airing this season, unsurprisingly, is City the Animation, which also happens to be one of the most fun shows airing this season. City is a KyoAni project, and unlike some of their other works like Sound Euphonium and Violet Evergarden that focused more on realistic acting and photography, City operates on quote-unquote cartoon logic. It's quite literally the spiritual successor to Nichijou, literally because both titles are penned by the same mangaka. The visuals, like I said, are insanely strong with lots of lively animations, stylized backgrounds, and seamless 3D background integration. Every single frame looks beautiful with a scary amount of technical proficiency, which of course is KyoAni in a nutshell. By the way, in case you were wondering, yes, I will talk about it in detail soon. The story too is quite fun. It doesn't focus on any one character, instead focusing on the entire city, thus the name. And it's one silly shenanigan after another. It's a lot of fun. Another interesting project currently airing is the Summer Hikaru Died, a Ryohei Takeshita-led horror anime. This show is very interesting, let's put it that way. It does 2 things really well. It presents a character dynamic centered around LGBTQ themes in a setting that's presumably very backwards and conservative, creating this uncomfortable vibe. And it crafts a more conventional supernatural horror narrative. The uneasy atmosphere and the mystery surrounding the village, it's great. The problem, however, is that I don't think these 2 individually good plot points work together well. I think they take away from one another. In my opinion, if the show wanted to focus on its character-centered yaoi drama aspect, it should have focused exclusively on that. And if it wanted to focus on its story-driven supernatural aspect, then it should have solely focused on that. I think trying to focus on both at once is a bit too ambitious and makes the story feel a bit fragmented. I say that because the show is actually quite good at handling both those aspects. It's just a shame that it's not committing to one, at least not yet. Maybe I'm being too judgmental, we'll see where it goes from here on out. Visuals look great by the way, fantastic storyboards, direction and photography, as expected. Let's now talk about the Cloverworks romance trio. 3 different romance shows, all 3 produced by Cloverworks because that worked out really well the last time they did that, and all of them airing on the same day. Let's go through them from best to worst. Bunny Girl Senpai Season 2. What a show. This title is genuinely up there in terms of dialogue writing. Characters from this show can have the most mundane conversation in the world, but I'll just sit there with a stupid fucking grin on my face, slapping it up. It's so good. I love the pacing, I love the writing, I love the characters. The visuals are great too, especially for the first episode. Really enjoyable show all around. There's a reason why the first season of this title is one of my favorite things ever. My Dress Up Darling Season 2 is also a lot of fun with quirky, charming characters, a stylish, fun visual style, and a couple of surprisingly mature plot points. Good stuff. I was a bit worried about how this show would fare production-wise because of a lot of reasons, but I'm glad to report it looks great, at least so far. The last, and definitely the least from this trio, is The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, and this one is so bland and boring. I'm genuinely shocked to see how highly rated the manga is. It's bizarre because the show is so dull. The characters act like lobotomized idiots. That entire school versus school plot point makes no sense because there's not a soul on planet Earth who cares that much about a school he or she doesn't even go to. The premise makes no sense because no one is terrified of someone their age just because they are slightly taller and have different colored hair. It's just so fucking unremarkable. Look, a show can either go ultra realistic like say Days with My Stepsister, or it can go quirky realistic like Bunny Girl Senpai, both of which by the way being unfortunately named shows. It can't just be bland and flavorless and put on an air of slight realism. That's the worst possible combination. Fans of this show say it's supposed to be sweet, it's one of those wholesome diabetes-inducing shows, but I don't see it. I just find the characters to be really annoying and unbelievable. And even if that wasn't the case, I don't think this formula works. This whole it's just sweet formula. Here's the thing, sugar is great when it's used to sweeten foods. It's significantly less great when you funnel raw crystal sugar into your mouth. That gets old really quickly. You need some skill, some edge, just something. For the love of God, it's so fucking boring. Ruri Rocks is a fun show worth keeping an eye on. It's a Shingo Fuji project and as expected it looks great. Also it's really enjoyable and well paced. Speaking of looking great, good fucking god, look at those thighs. Such a fun watch. Another interesting project is Clivates, a show that's trying way too hard to emulate that old school dark fantasy vibe / look. I personally am not that impressed by any of it. I don't like graphic violence for the sake of graphic violence, but some of you might enjoy it more than I do. And that's it for the episodes. Let's briefly talk about a few openings. Firstly, Call of the Night Season 2. Creepy Nuts is easily the most interesting musical act in anime currently. They have such a unique sound, I love it. Also, the visuals looked very good. Sakamotodays came through with a stunning opening. It was directed by Attack on Titan and Death Note director Tetsuro Araki, featured a bunch of major names including action animation extraordinaire Arifumi Imai, and it looked incredible. The fun, bouncy animation, the vibrant colors, and the fantastic sequence near the end drawn by Imai, it was so good. Also, yes, the deadliest weapon of all time, director Masaki Watanabe. Surprisingly enough, that spectacular Sakamoto Days OP wasn't the best looking opening sequence this season. That title would go to the Water Magician OP, which was absolutely gorgeous. The OP was directed, storyboarded, composited, and color designed by Shogo Teramoto, and the amount of animation power in it was insane. Every single shot moved, and they moved so well, it was absurdly high quality. Of course, the actual show doesn't even remotely look like it, but that's not a surprise, is it? Fantastic work. And that should just about do it. Just a quick video going over a bunch of seasonal stuff, hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe. A special thanks to Noot03, Powell, and Damir for becoming tier 3 members, and until next time.